Hey guys, Jason Timothy here, musicsoftwaretraining.com, and back with another video. Now, you may have noticed in some of my videos that I've got this ginormous list of effects here that I have defaulted on each of my tracks. And I've even recommended this for other producers. This just saves you the time of having to go into your effects for every new effect that you want. It's kind of nice to have it all, ready for you. The problem I find is, at least in my computer, I don't have an M1 chip yet. This takes a long time to load. So if I am loading a new track, it just takes probably a good minute or so to load the track. I didn't make the connection initially that this was the issue with my tracks loading slowly. I figured if these were off, that it would load really, really quick, that it wouldn't have to load each separate thing. But the fact of the matter is it takes a lot longer. So I had to come up with a different approach. So what I've done is I've broken down to my essentials. So if I create a new audio track, for example, I just have this now. And as you can see, it loaded pretty quick. Not immediate, but it loads pretty quick. And actually loads faster than me dragging each one of these effects into a track. So I like that, but I don't have access to all the other effects that I want, So this would force me to kind of come in here every time I want a new effect. And sometimes I forget which effects I like and I just want to experiment with things. So it makes it kind of a pain to go into my third-party plugins and go into my audio effects and that sort of thing. So what I've done here is I've created chains, like smaller chains of saturation, distortion, reverbs, and different things like that that aren't part of the essentials. And obviously I know that I can organize them in this area here. I've got my chains set up right here, so I could drag them in. But even that is not quite as quick as what I'm going to show you. So enter in the amazing Live Enhancement suite. And I'll let you know right now that what I'm going to show you is working on my computer, but some of the other features don't work on my version of Mac, my OS version, which is Mojave. So apparently the person that designed this, the newer OSs are making it a little more difficult for everything to work, and he's been asking for help in getting these features working on all the different versions. All right, so they may actually continue to work later on as there's more updates. But so all you got to do here is come over and download it. And I downloaded the beta build. I haven't tried the older release version, so perhaps that might work better. But I heard from this, it says, that Apple phased out the support of the guy's Mac. So we couldn't create the new test builds. So I'm not sure where we're at with that. But yeah, this works fine. You could try both to see if one works better than the other. But I downloaded this one. And for the feature that I want most, this works great. And by the way, this is totally free. So there's no reason for you not to use this. So let's jump back over. Once you install it, you end up with an icon up here, all right? And with this icon, it gives you the ability to configure some of the settings in the menu, which is really cool. So let's jump back over and I'll show you what it does now. Now, all I have to do if I want to add an effect is I just double right click and go to my effects, and I've created my default. So I've got my reverb plugin chain, and then I've got my separate reverbs here, EQ plugins, saturation chain. I haven't set up all the separate things, distortion chains. So if I wanted to just add all my different tools for distortion, looks like it's doing something a little bit weird. What I find is if I turn this off, if it's acting weird, and then do it, then I can go ahead and add without a problem. And then I can, of course, go and turn this back on if I want. And if I want to add more, I just, just unclick this here, and then everything will load just right. And that's a minor thing just on my computer. I don't think most computers have this issue at all. I've got, bass sounds, lead sounds, synths, stabs. I haven't programmed all of this in yet, but I'm going to spend a few days, getting to my essentials so I can load certain sounds, certain instruments. As you can see, I've got all the synths that I like, the drum programs I like, simpler and sampler, really easy. And yeah, so I can just find favorites right here. It's a very easy way to get the tools that you want. So how does this work? Let me go ahead and show you. So if you come over to the configure menu, you've got this file right here, and you literally change your file. So for example, I've got my instruments. As you can see, there's this little the /. So this shows how deep that you're going to go. So this is one level, 2 slashes, it's 2 levels, and then underneath it you put your tools. And then this is a second level. So if I right click here, double right click, as you can see, these are level 1s, these are level 2s. Now these are put under level 2, so I don't need to put level 3 on these here. They're just put underneath those level 2s, and I don't know if I have any level 3s yet. Sub, this might be, yeah, this might be a level 3 right here, the sub, because I've got sounds, bass, sub, and then I've got the tool. So this right here, I'll have like sub, regular bass, different sorts of categories here. So let's jump back over to here. So yeah, what you've got here, there's a couple things that I figured out that I had to do. But yeah, so you put your category, so instruments, and that's a level 1 category. If I come here, those are all the instruments. Then I have effects, that's a category 1, right? Or a level 1 rather. And that's all the effects. And then here I have another one, which is sounds. And as you can see under here, I've got bass. And then under bass, I've got sub. And then I've got this here. So if I wanted to add another category, so I'll just put synth bass. And I'll go ahead and do this. It'll add a category, but I have to put something underneath this. So let me find a synth bass. So if I go into sounds, bass. So let's say I wanted analog bass. All right. Analog bass ADV. Type analog bass. That's popping right up, but what I want to do is I've got to come to all results. And good, so that's the first thing on the list. That's the way that we create our titles here. So I come over here, and then under synth bass, I put the name of the bass, analog bass, and this is the name that it'll show in the menu. And then underneath it, we're going to put a space in between here. Then right underneath it with no space, we put the name that it will find under the search. And luckily with the same name, it finds it directly. So all I have to do now is save this. And then I come over here and I go to reload. Now, when I come over here, double right click, sounds, bass, sub bass, and then I've also got synth bass right here. So if I wanted to add that, I just click, and boom, I've got that instrument right in here. So really, really quick approach. Now, some other things that could come up is, for example, my sub boom bass, right? When I typed that in, it wasn't coming right up on the top. See how it goes kind of lower here? So what I needed to do was type in the AU or the VST, and that brought it up. So it needs to be the first result in all results. And then you take this, copy that over, and then you just copy that as a second thing. That's kind of the search term. So you will just want to make sure that the search term works properly. All right. Also, I noticed that here I have synths, and I put synths again in sounds down here. Sounds, and right here. See how it says synth? When I had synths here, it actually copied the information from up here. So if I save this real quick, you can see the glitch. So I just want to show you this just so that you, if you run into this, you know what the issue is. And I'll go ahead and reload this. Now if I right click, go to sounds, and then synths, as you can see, it's showing all the synths that I have in my instruments. And I don't want that. I want this to just be all my synth presets and things like that. So in order to make that unique, you have to use a different name. So sounds, and I just put synth, and then it corrects the issue. And then you just come over and save, and then you reload. So that's it. That's how this works. And there's documentation on how to create this and make it happen. You know, this took me, maybe a couple hours to figure out and get it to where it's at now. But once you set it up once, it's really, really quick. And I think it's really the best approach to really quickly getting your effects or instruments into Ableton. Once again, I still encourage using some defaults settings. Just test to see how quickly your tracks load with your kind of defaults. And by the way, if once you make a default like this, all you got to do is on an audio track, you right click and save default audio track. On a MIDI track, same thing, come down, default MIDI track. And then it will load just like that. So when I want to load a new MIDI track, as you can see, it's defaulted to these essentials. So I don't have to do anything for that. But if I want to add anything, I just double click and come in. And once again, there's a little glitch with mine where I have to turn this off with the essentials effects for some reason. But once I do that, then I can grab anything I want. There we go, my tape effect. Really, really quick. So yeah, download that. It's totally free. And I hope this really helps your workflow. Talk to you guys soon.